So, while memory serves me, and in keeping with the storyline, driving, but not Miss Daisy, as memory serves, and sometimes I'm going to get the details wrong, because I got some details wrong, and I had to delete the whole video because of the fact that I said something I shouldn't have, and added something in that I didn't do, but it was just a misnomer. I used the wrong name. But in keeping with driving but not Miss Daisy, I guess you could call this driving but not Miss Daisy too. I've actually been given permission to do this and say this and asked a long time ago in advance and never did it, but I decided that I would do it now. And so what I'm doing now is continuing the driving narrative of this story, and it goes a little bit like this. So I was driving. I went to school at Georgetown University for a stint, and I did philosophical and religious studies there. And while I was there, I worked for the Georgetown University Transportation Society. They were called GUTS buses. They were these Mercedes compact buses, really nice too, blue and white with our school name on the side and the acronym GUTS. So I was driving that, and I did it for about a year or two, and I said to myself, I can make more money driving limos than I could do this, because I thought of limousines as a prestigious job. Little did I know that limos are literally, sometimes, depending on the company or the clientele, they're swamps of libations. I tell people they're the only carpet that gets shampooed on every night, pretty much. It's the only carpet that gets shampooed every night. And so, you're a $200,000, $300,000 car, and you think people are actually respectable and decent, and they turn into monsters. It's like $10,000 mahogany bar somebody's put their feet up on. Carafes with vodka, gin, and whiskey, sometimes broken at the end of the night. Beer cans and crap all over the floor, along with underwear and whatever. And a swamp of beer. So a lot of the clients that I have were a little bit more diligent, a little bit more respectable. And when I drove for the Washington Redskins, I drove them to Home Team Sports television station that was on Wisconsin Avenue in Bethesda, Maryland. And I dropped them off, and they'd do the broadcast. It was the Washington football team. And they've changed their name now. So being a Native American, I can understand the protest and the whole denigration aspect of it. Nonetheless, I drove for them and would drop them off and then take them wherever they wanted to go. And I got a job as a sound tech at the station temporarily, but my work ethic wasn't up to par, I think, or something. But I worked for Doc Walker and Tony McGee, who were really cool and really were nice to me, befriended me, treated me really well. And I drove people around like Chip Lohmiller and Darryl Green and Tim Johnson and Ernest Biner. That team. I can't remember the coach back then, but I can almost see his face. He wore glasses. He's into racing too. I'm not a football fan. I'm not an American sport fan, so I don't know much about American sports. Every now and then I'll watch hurling from Ireland because of my Celtic roots, or I'll watch like soccer. Sometimes I used to watch tennis when Agassi and Bjorn Borg and those guys were playing, but I didn't know much about American sports, so I didn't know about these guys or their celebrity. So losing my home because of my fiance breaking up with me, I actually had no home, and I was sleeping in my limo. And one night I took Darryl Green to TV station to do the interview after they had won a game. I think they won a game. And afterwards I was to drop him off. Well, being the professional that I am, he sat in the back and he took care of his business. I drove him to the television station. You know, I greeted him professionally, hello sir, and so on and so forth. And when I picked him up to take him home, a lot of the other guys went to restaurants or picked up their girlfriends sometimes or something like that. He went straight home. And while we were talking, he said something about the Bible and Jesus and all this other stuff, and I'm asking myself, you know, these guys push each other down for a living, and if they have to go to the bathroom, what do? They wet themselves, and so I'm told. And you know, the locker room talk and the brouhaha, and I'm like thinking to myself, this guy bangs heads for a living. What does he know about biblical stuff, biblical texts, Christianity, whatever you want to call it? And that's when the conversation ensued. And somehow it got to where we became friends. And he found out that I was living that I was basically homeless, living in the street. Because eventually I think I lost my job, and I had a car, and I started living in the car, I believe. I can't remember. I suffer from near fatal head injury, trauma, so a lot of stuff escaped me. But what didn't escape me is he befriended me. Him and Tim Johnson wanted to put me up in a hotel for a long time and pay the rent and all, or pay the room fee and all that. And I refused. I said, you know, I need a job. I need help. I need work. I need people who can point me in the right direction where I can get a job, get a home, and get myself back on my feet. And so I didn't take their money. But what happened is Daryl and I became friends. I lived with this guy for months. He put me up in his house. I was there with his wife, Jewel, and his children, Jared, Jarrell, and Joy. And when they were babies, I mean, Joy could barely speak. And this man let me live in his basement for months. He gave me work in his backyard and whatnot. Finally, he said, you know, you're my friend. I mean, I can't have my friend working for me. So we ended up dissolving that interaction, but we stayed friends forever. I mean, I know him to this day. I mean, that was like middle, late 80s. And I know him to this day. I mean, I just left his house last month because during COVID, I've been helping his family out by doing grocery shopping and stuff like that for him. But he turned out to be a very exemplary individual, very, very sound base for, or a very good person to pass things by and get a very good opinion or decision, or just to listen to him. I mean, he's done a lot. He's been there for a lot of people. He set up programs in the city for children. I mean, his work ethic is off the charts, and his care and consideration for the misfortunate, unfortunate, downtrodden knows no end. He has always presented himself as a very comfortable person to be around. I could go over his house for Thanksgiving or a plate of food, or his family's actually extended themselves to help me with, like when I finally got an apartment one time, I couldn't meet my rent, and he like extended me some money and I paid him back. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But I think the point I'm making here is that out of all the people that I've met, you know, that live behind dumpsters or something like that, or rich and famous, he impressed himself upon me because he doesn't act celebrity. He acts like a normal human being. And I've been around celebrity. I've been around people who act like they're God's gift to mankind, and believe me, I'd rather not. So, it was remarkable to run into someone that was a walking contradiction to celebrity, and he had all the fame and fortune available, and he chose to be very sedentary, very rustic, very basic American, and never forgot where he came from, never forgot his roots, and actually extends himself into the community to do a lot of things, and opens his. He's got a backyard, man. The kids can come in his backyard and play and use his basketball court and stuff like that live in his neighborhood. I mean, he's a really, really impressive individual to be in the situation that he's in, and he gives all of the glory to God and his faith in Christ and stuff like that, which is admirable, especially for a family man. So I learned a lot from him by being a friend with him and being his driver and his chaperone, pretty much. And I ended up making a really good friend out of being a driver. And it happened that way with a lot of people. I mean, with Tony Bennett would invite me to concerts. We'd break bread together. Keter Betts was Ella Fitzgerald's bass player for eons. And I could knock on his door at random and walk in his house, and he'd hold court. I mean, I know people like this, you know what I mean? And I don't tell him, hey, can you help me? I'm homeless, I need money. Or, hey, can you do this for me? It's like we have a normal relationship. It's almost like I left my house to visit them, or I'm in the house and one of them will call me and we talk shop. You know, I need opportunity to get out of this situation. I don't need people like endowing me with their hard-earned efforts or anything like that. I need doors open. I can make money. I can work. I can hustle. I can put forth the effort. I've been in 10 major motion pictures while homeless. I've been in 3 award-winning TV series, including The Wire on HBO. I was on The Wire for 4 years, working with Frankie Faison. Frankie took good care of me. Frankie was like a brother to me. Frankie brought me into scenes that I didn't even belong in, and got me in footage that I shouldn't have been in. Frankie watched out for me the entire time that I worked with him. John Doman was awesome. I mean, you know, we worked with, I can't remember the guy's name. I see his face, but he was in Batman with the Bane, the story about Bane. Was it Dark Knight or something about Dark Knight Rising or something? And he was Mayor Carcetti in The Wire, and I work with these guys. You know, a lot of these guys have gone on to be successful, especially Idris Elba and both Michaels. But you know, the good guys, the good guys, we don't have careers. All the bad guys. The last time I saw Frankie, he was in Luke Cage: Hero for Hire on Netflix, I think it is, and I've seen him in an Irish series on Netflix. I mean, Frankie worked. Frankie was in Coming to America, the Thomas Crown Affair. The Wire. Frankie's credits are off the chart, and he keeps working. But he's so down to earth, and so the guy next door. It's awesome. It was awesome being a driver. It was awesome driving these people around and getting to know them and getting to talk to them and finding out about their humanity or lack thereof. I always like being able to find out that certain individuals lack humanities, because it's easier to get away from them than the ones who work through subterfuge, you know what I mean?